What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm sorry I laugh every damn time because without my Ethernet cable, it's just ridiculous. But I'm Jimmy Smith, and I appreciate you all taking the time. Hope you're having a great weekend so far, a beautiful day out there. It's been a wild one for me already. I was on the road. Luckily, I'm not driving with my ankle all jacked up, but was trying to take notes on this, was trying to listen to press conferences, and the Eagles always delete the press conferences when you're done. So I wasn't able to go back. So we got a little bit of the information there, got all the tweets from practice. They literally posted like absolutely no video here, but I'm going to show you the very few, like 20-second highlight here of people walking out and some quarterback drills. That's literally all they had. And then we'll go through and talk about what happened at practice today. But appreciate you all tuning in today. Hope you're having a good one. But let's check out those brief highlights. You see what I mean, right? Literally, I was like, what? What? So I went digging a little bit, trying to find more. Maybe they'll post some stuff later, but that's all I've found for you there. But let's go through and talk about these tweets that were placed. There were some roster moves made, some things that happened. So let's talk about the stuff we do have here. Appreciate you all taking the time here. Let me jump over to the chat. My dude Wheels, let's go Birds. I just answered your question. I believe it was you that had asked right before I got on about Mariota. I just explained this to Ruben Frank last night and some other people. The confusion here, you can't cut Mariota because, you're not going to take a $5 million, dead cap hit. Well, you're not going to take a $5 million dead cap hit if that were the case. So, again, I don't think he's getting released here, but if he were to be released, it's actually only a $1.932 million dead cap hit. That $3 million plus that's left over on that $5 million contract will be paid after this season. So you would only take that $1.9+ million dead cap hit here this season. So it's not that you have to keep him. And if they really like Tanner McKee and they feel a certain way, like, hey, I don't feel like keeping three quarterbacks, you can have a third quarterback on game day when you elevate a guy from the practice squad because the 40 whiners rule. So a lot of thought to go into this, but just wanted to be clear about how the money works. And again, I wish and I'm trying my best these past few years to get everybody on board with how the cap works, explaining it, but we'll get there. Whoa, let's go. Liz is in here. We're getting the party started early here, 1:20, and ready to rock and roll on this beautiful Saturday. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you tuning in. We got Wheels and Lil in here as well. So, let's rock and roll here. Talk about this training camp practice, you sickos. And look, that's what this time is, but we're 22 days away, and I'm ready, or 23 days away from game day. And I just really can't stress enough how I want to run through a wall because of that. So let's go. 22 is the number. So let's start it off with these roster moves that were made today. And I'll be having a video breaking all these guys down. So holy hell. But we've got a few defensive tackles here. Robert Cooper, Marvin Wilson is back. And then we add Caleb Sanders as well. And then you get two linebackers here in Tyreek Maddox-Williams and Quentin Bell. We waived injured, because of their injuries, they were waived. Tyree Cleveland, Noah Ellis, and Zach McPherson. I'll explain that in a second. And then we released Greedy Williams and Ty Zentner. You heard me on last night's show tell you that I don't think either of those guys are making the team. And, well, they're not making the team. Now, same goes for Cleveland, Ellis, and now McPherson we talked about. Look, the way it works for these younger players, they have to go through a waiver process. And with the injuries here, that's okay. So the designation is waived/injured for those three guys. So because of their injuries, that's why they're being waived. So they got to go through the claims process. If no one claims them, then they revert to the Eagles IR. So then they're just out for the season. They're technically on our roster. The Eagles will be taking care of them, paying them, doing their thing. But, this is just the process here for those guys. So unfortunate for those guys. They're going to make a full recovery, which is great. Tyree Cleveland with a neck injury there, that's very unfortunate. Was having a great camp there. But, look, you're clearing up a lot of space with those, and they already filled it with a bunch of those guys there. And again, I will break down all 5 of those new players. We'll talk about those things, but we're here to talk about training camp first. So let's roll right through that. Some good news here. Patrick Johnson back at camp. He's got 10 days to go out and prove himself before that cut down period, the one cut down period this season, going from 90 to 53, but he was back. Edge rusher in the building. And look, with the injuries we've had, it's good timing. And he's got some opportunity here to go show that he deserves to be on the roster. And he's done well the couple years here. So best of luck to Patrick Johnson. And then you see the full list of guys that were not at practice today. Holy, you got Covey, Cox, Garner. Kyron Johnson had an appendectomy. So this is why he was not playing in the game on Thursday. We talked about this, like, where the hell's Kyron Johnson? Well, there he was. So Moro Ojomo dealing with that concussion there. Hopefully, appendectomy spelled incorrectly, and it is Moro Ojomo, not Moro Oromo. That would be even more ridiculous. But Hassan Reddick here out with the thumb. Trey Sermon, Nolan Smith, Greg Ward, and Quez Watkins. Holy shnikes. So Covey and Watkins have been out with those hammy injuries. Cox dealing with some knee soreness. You got to be precautious with the older players. That's, I'm sure, nothing to worry about. Garner, unfortunate for him. We talked about pushing for, that 6th spot with Goodrich there. Maybe Rick's in the mix, so not good for him. And like a lot of these guys, Sermon and Ward, and they are fighting for jobs here. So not good, even if it's not that serious. So you want to see them get back to full health and get out here able to prove what they've got. Now, up next, we're going to get into some actual practice news. Justin Evans getting some first-team reps, and this is something we also talked about. I think I like this guy more than most, and, you see Ed saying here that, the Eagles like him more than most, so that's good. That's a great page to be on there. But I think that with his starting experience, I think the media got caught up with Kayvon Wallace starting, thinking that he was going to be a starter when really they just wanted to see, dude, do you really have anything here? And, he played a lot in this last preseason game. So I think Justin Evans could make this roster over him. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but they want to see, hey, if something were to happen, can you fill in here? I think Ensign Edmonds would be great depth, 2 veteran guys to have behind Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship. That would be a safety room, those 4 right there, that I would be excited about. And we've talked about that. That would be my 4. So we'll see where the Eagles go with that. Now, in the actual practice, we've got it starting off hot, baby. Darius, a big play Slay. My man getting a pick off Jalen Hurts. Flex the ball in the air, comes down with it. Feet inbound. So he's going to look to make some big plays this year, and I'm going to be looking forward to each and every one of them. Now, training camp hero, Eagles fan favorite, Devin Allen, hopeful to make this practice squad. Devin Allen gets by the defense, gets a long touchdown from Mariota. Blown coverage was Goodrich and Wallace. Not good for Goodrich or Wallace there. Goodrich looking to step in now as that backup to Avonte Maddox as the nickel cornerback with Zach McPherson. Now waived with the injury designation, therefore could be going to the IR with those other guys. Now, you see here that practice is going to keep rolling on, and with some news here at Cunningham and Dean, the first team. And again, if you guys missed the show last night, we talked about this stuff, what those snap counts meant, what things, look like to me. And I think that Cunningham is proving that he is, better than Jack. He's the veteran you want to keep with Morrow and Ellis. And, then it becomes who's starting next to Dean. So I really feel, Cunningham, Ellis, and Morrow all trying to get that, starting spot. And look, I love it, man, that there's actually some competition there. Iron sharpens iron. And I'm all about it. Let's go. Now, you guys know my infatuation with Sidney Brown. Seeing him get some first-team reps, it's got me excited. I have him now locked in as the starter. Screw it. I've said it a million times. I don't care if by week 1 he's not, because, he's still young and he's got some things to learn. But I still think he'll be a big part of this defense and the 3 safety sets. And then we talk about him just eventually taking over as the starting safety. I think he and Reed Blankenship are the future there. Very excited about his future here. And look, if you hear him talk, you'll understand why before the draft I wanted him so badly, because he reminds me of Doc, just the way he carries himself, the way he talks. And then on the field, he is just, dude, he'll knock your head off. And I love every second of it. So let's go, Sidney Brown. Now, Dallas Goedert continues to do his thing, getting a touchdown from Jalen Hurts. And look, this is going to be just like last year. They are one of the best combinations in the league, and Jalen Hurts loves looking his way. Not that, the receivers didn't get theirs. First time in Eagles history we've had 2,000 yarders, but he missed a chunk of 4 or 5 games there. And man, you saw nobody can really step into his shoes. So, man, just stay healthy. And I think big things for this offense and, all across the board, not just Goddard, but excited to see him doing his thing. And we just mentioned the guy Reed back there, and Reed Blankenship continues to have a great camp, showing he can go up against these top tight ends, doing his thing. He will be that starting safety. Will it be Sidney next to him? Only time will tell, but I'm very, very excited about it. Now, James Bradberry, he has literally been doing this for a couple weeks where he's taking reps in the slot. And now, with McPherson out, you see, he has mentioned here, we've talked about, thankfully, this guy dabbles there. If anything were to happen to Maddox, we now have more plans where Ringo or Job could go outside. And you know what I mean? Like, you have contingencies in place. So I think that this is smart. Love to see it. And then he goes and gets an interception off Mariota. So James Bradberry, all-pro cornerback James Bradberry, he and Slay, one of the best duos, but the best trio in the game with Maddox. I love this secondary here. Cannot wait to see them ball in 22 days, baby. Then we've got Josh Sweat, who continues to just get better and better and better. And, well, we all love Sweat. And he breaks up the coverage between Mariota. Calcaterra continues to do his thing. And then we've got our guy at number 1, Jalen Carter, the number 1 pick for the Eagles here. He was in with the second teams, lined up wide, and dropped out in the coverage. And he picks up Deion Gade. That is hilarious. And that just goes to show what a freak athlete he is. But the versatility of this defense, the multiple schemes, the things you will see. Now, you're not going to see too many defensive tackles dropping into coverage here, but there are schemes where we've seen things like this, and we talk about it, disguising plays. And, man, Sean Desai knows what he's doing with these athletes, so I'm all about it. Now, I do want to mention one thing here. Look, Landon Dickerson walked off, had, some kind of issue there, but he came back in, so looks to be perfectly fine. My God, with these bomb scares here, man, could they just please not do that anymore, for the love of God? Thank you for that. But, look, as I said, I was unable to catch the press conferences here, so I know you guys, you look forward to that so much, and you just can't sleep without that news. But I'm going to tell you what I did catch, and we'll talk about that. But it sure does. It's glad, I'm glad to just it's so close, man, because the off season it's a trying time, man. You got everybody telling you how things are going to go, this, that, the other thing. It's like, look, bro, I'm just trying to help you see how things are actually going to go. And then they actually happen, and it's like, then everybody, it's so weird, man. I'm so excited that people are excited. You know what I mean? It's just, I need that positive energy. I'm so sick of the whiny stuff, We know about Nolan's injury. He's good. He could have been perfectly fine to come back in the game. They said, fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. If you guys want any of that injury news, go check out yesterday's show with all of that information. Yo, William, my man, hope you're doing well. Family's doing well. Ready to spend some time here. We're going to get through this news. Going to a big weekend ahead here. So excited, man. Hope you're doing well. And we'll see what goes on here as coaching staff can coach. Yes, I don't think that they plan on not coaching the players. They usually try to develop their players, like Jalen Hurts last year. I mean, yeah, I don't think they're going to just not work with them. Anyways, Brian Johnson, he spoke to the media before the practice. He talked about Mariota is the backup, but he likes McKee a lot. He knew him in college. He loves how he uses his eyes, just his awareness in the game. And I think that, he's shown a great job here so far. But clearly, going with a veteran, it just becomes, do you keep a third quarterback? And we've talked about this a million times. So we'll see. But, so he talked about Jalen Hurts, OTAs in 2022, just that being his second year, in the same system, getting those reps, just he's making everyone's job more manageable was the topic of discussion there that I picked up on. I think that really Jalen Hurts, we talked about his development, his progression. And, while everybody said he can never do that, players don't get better. And it's like, well, I don't know what football you're watching, but okay. So now we all see who was right about that. But he talked about it. And it's just always so funny when these reporters ask the questions. They just want to be like, why? Why couldn't I have been right? It's like, well, dude, you just don't know football. I mean, but then he talked about Nick, Howie, Stout, organizing the practices, making it great for him. I'm sure easy for him to just step right in there. And then he talked about all the running backs having unique skill sets, and Jamal Singleton doing a great job with those guys. And then Lane Johnson came to the podium, and this is where I lost it. I heard him talking about Fred Johnson and Jack Driscoll, who stood out to him on offense. And then on defense, he was talking about Jalen Carter. And look, we all know Jalen Carter is a stud, so I'm sure, but to get that praise, that's pretty awesome. But then they did talk to DeVonta, Goedert, and Reed, but again, I was unable to hear any of it. I lost service, and then that was the end for me. So that's all I've got for you right now. But as I told you, I will be back. I'll be dropping that video about all 5 of those players that we signed, giving you all the bio, the stats, all that stuff you guys love. So I'll see you then. But if you have any thoughts on this, you want to let me know, you saw something, you heard something, feel free to drop it down below. But we're getting closer, ladies and gentlemen, 22 days away. And hey, it's my pleasure. Look, my biggest takeaway, it's preseason. People overreacting to everything, losing their minds. But the one thing I would say was I would bring in more competition for Sippos. But that's my biggest takeaway for weeks now. So I don't know, man. But crazy stuff. But you can go check out that video. The last 2 videos breaking down everything about the Eagles and Browns. If you'd like, respect our veterans telling the truth about Carter. Yeah, man. And look, it was so funny, when I try to get on that, whole let's draft Jalen Carter train here that I actually started, I guess. But it was funny because you saw a lot of the top creators coming on to that show. Like, we want to know who you're picking. Obviously, it was going for 5 years in a row. And it's just like, I'm telling you, I like Bijan Robinson. Like, he's really effing fun to watch. But wait until you see Jalen Carter. Like, I know people don't watch college or whatever. I don't know what it is. But, bro, whatever they're sleeping on there with Jalen Carter, time to wake up, because this kid is the real effing deal. And I'm not saying defensive rookie of the year because I got the pick right. It's because I really like him and I wanted him for a reason. You know what I mean? It's so weird. People always try to say, oh, you just wanted to be right. It's like, well, don't you think I'd pick a guy that's really good if that were the case? Like, yeah, it's trying times, but just like someone said earlier, I'm getting excited. We're getting closer. I can see, the positivity changing. That's what we need here, man. Good juju for this team. That was the one difference last year we didn't have. At this point, we were dealing with fire Howie, fire Nick, trade Hurts. And so it's like, let's get the good juju this year. Let's see what this team actually does. That's my opinion. I think the fans being fans will help. I think having their back at home games, cheering for Jalen Hurts, that's going to be huge. I can't wait to see it, experience it, be able to sit in the seats and not have to hear all the oh, yes, let's go. Get excited. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Write that down. I promise you, we're building a dynasty here. They're all about the bear witness. But I hope you're all having a great day. I'll talk to you a little bit later about all of these players. But if you need me, reach on out any of these platforms here. But until next time, I'm Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there. And as always, say it with me now, go Birds!